Lads, welcome back to Yin Yang Zing. I know it's been a little while since I've posted anything Yu-Gi-Oh related. I have been out of town a lot for work, and it's been very difficult to get recordings and stuff done. But I did compete at this past weekend's Indianapolis Regional, and I did okay. I went X3. I ended up dropping after my third loss because I knew I wasn't going to be able to get my invite, which is what I'm struggling for. So this deck is what I took. So this is my deck profile. My three losses were to Sky Striker, where I just misplayed. That was my biggest problem, was that I misplayed, and I didn't have enough experience with this deck against Sky Strikers. So I made some misplays. I made some poor decisions, and that's 100% my fault. There's nobody to blame for that except for me. Let's see if we can add some light to this equation. I hope that there's no glare on that, but if there is, I apologize. I'm trying to make it so you guys can see the stuff a little bit better. My second loss was to Salamangreat, and my third loss was to the Mirror. It was an unfortunate day. All three of my losses were also die roll losses. I lost, I think, all three of those die rolls. The Salamangreat player just straight up outplayed me, and I bricked game 2, and there was nothing. I mean, there's nothing you can do with a brick. It's part of the game. And then the final matchup, I don't know how, but he knew exactly what, like, he sided perfectly for me, and that's just, and he didn't know what I was playing. So it was just kind of one of those scenarios where I was like, is what it is. So we're going to jump into the deck profile, and we're going to kind of go through my card choices and what I was thinking. So starting off with the monster lineup is 2 copies of Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic. Endymion is your boss monster. It's insane. It's a free spell and trap negate. Big body, untargetable. So this against Sky Strikers is kind of your win condition because they can't really do anything to it. The problem is that I couldn't get it out with spell counters on it, and it was kind of I kept misplaying around, and I made a board misplay early. Nothing you can do about that. Next up is 3 copies of, well, let me center this. Hello. 3 copies of Servant of Endymion. Servant is fantastic. It's basically like a turbo. It's your turbo. It's part of your Electromite turbo stuff. It's really strong. If you open this and the Spell Power Mastery and any other card in the deck, literally any other card in the deck, you're going to be able to go into a full combo with 3 negates and a Sloth, which is crazy. 2 copies of Magister of Endymion. Magister is one of your high scales, and it does some. It's really good as an extender. So because if you still have Scales in hand and you can use this, you can go into a little bit bigger of a board, and you can get approximately 4 negates on board, which is pretty insane. Next up is 3 copies of Mythical Beast Master Cerberus, and 2 copies of Jackal King. So this is the Mythical Beast package that I run. I think it's the perfect number. I never wanted more. It was actually just the perfect number. Next up is 3 copies of Chronograph Sorcerer, 1 copy of Time Gazer Magician. This is part of the Electromite Turbo. It's a free spell card. It's fantastic. So green cards in this deck are good cards because of the Endymion stuff, and the Chronograph is just a free spell counter with a free monster for Electromite. Next up is going to be 3 copies of Dark Worm. Dark Worm is honestly one of the most important cards in the deck, and it's your main Guardragon card. It's pretty wild, honestly. And then with that is 1 Gate 0, just as a search target, thins out the deck. Next up is 2 copies of Amorphage Sloth. You want to summon this from the deck. And if you go in through your full combo, but you open this and you're able to save it for scale, now you can stop them from searching for outs as well, which is pretty insane. One copy of Destrudo. It's part of your Guardragon play. And then the two of the three cards that I absolutely despised every time I saw it, I ended up losing that individual game. These cards were horrible, and I'm taking them out for the future builds, but I wanted to let you guys learn from me, which would be Luster Pendulum and Master Pendulum. These are the two monsters, or pendulum monsters, that did nothing for the games. Literally were just wasted space. Shouldn't have run them. My fault. My thought process was, oh, I want to be able to pull this out for the Guardragon combos, and if I don't, I want to have other ones. And it gave me another tuner, and it wasn't good enough, honestly. So don't run these two. These two are atrocious in this deck. But you got to learn, right? So I learned the hard way. Next up to the spells. The spells, we've got 3 copies of Spell Power Mastery. Mastery is probably the best spell card in the deck. It really does get your whole engine started. But what are you going to do? This card will give you, if you open this and Servant, this and any other card in your hand is literally full combo, and this will search you the other one. So honestly, this is a 2-card combo into the Guardragon stuff. It's pretty insane. Next up is going to be, because green cards are powerful and you want to just draw into your engine pieces, you don't really care about your hand size because you kind of vomit it out, so that's why I run 3 copies of Into the Void. This card actually was clutch. Into the Void was insane. It does so much for the deck. So in testing, I was like, Into the Void might be a good card, but the more I played it, the more I was like, this card's really good. Because you vomit everything out, and your extra deck doesn't really matter. And if you put up 4 negates with no extra deck, or 3 negates with no extra deck, it's pretty intense. Next up is 1 copy of Pot of Desires, 1 copy of Pendulum Halt, and 1 copy of Upstart Goblin. Okay, Desires, so good one of. It's a hard once per turn, that's why I don't want to use it. Upstart Goblin's at 1. If it was at 3, I would run it over Desires. If it was at 2, I would run it over Desires. It's a free draw. It's fantastic. If Upstart Goblin was at 3, I'd be running 3. That's how much I like this card. This card is fantastic. Pendulum Halt, you put 3 monsters with different names into your extra deck so consistently, it's absurd. It's wild. So it's a free +2 at the end of your combo. You just do it last. It's the last spell card you should activate. It just gives you more cards. If you haven't activated Into the Void, this card essentially just says, here, reset your hand. It's wild. And it came up clutch, like if I didn't do very well or I got stopped in mid-combo, this extended it, because it's basically Pot of Greed. Then 2 copies of Magical Citadel of Endymion, 1 Terraforming. I really like this lineup. I think it's perfect. I thought this was pretty good. I maybe wanted 1 more Terraforming. This card was clutch, because it let me play through a lot of stuff, and it actually let me blow up somebody's field, because I had Mighty Master of Magic, and then I had a whole bunch of spells to just kind of go off. Next up is Dragon Shrine and Foolish, and 1 copy of Duelist Alliance. This is the 3rd card. This card I want out. This card it never came up. It was never good enough. Every time I opened it, it was just kind of an extra green card that was just no good. Foolish and Dragon Shrine are important for thinning the deck and making sure that you don't banish any resources with Desires, but that's it for the main deck. I think the deck did really, really well. I'm really happy with the performance. So now we're going to jump into the extra deck. So, first up is a copy of Electromite. Electromite is insane. It was so good. I never wanted anything else. It did a good job. It was the card I needed most of the time. Electromite was just great. And then Daybreaker, the Shining Magical Warrior, never came up, never used it. It was just kind of a clutch card. The Nightmare Package, which is 1 Phoenix, 1 Unicorn, 1 Eunuch. This card came up actually once. This I never went into. Then your Guardragon package, which is 1 Elpie, 1 Argipane, 1 Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres, and hold on, we got a triple burst. So Elpie, Argipane, these 4 cards, along with Electromite, are the ones you go into the most. These 5 cards right here are just amazing. You go into them almost every game. They're fantastic. It's wild how often you'll go into them. Next up is going to be your Borals. 1 Boral Load, 1 Boral Sword. Never went into either of them. Never came up. 1 Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. It recycles resources. It gives you a deck. Then your level 7s. Cyber's Quantum Dragon. When you're going for game, it's ridiculous. 1 Dawn Dragster. This is good generically, but so that's the level 7s. Now, because I was running the Luster Pendulum, the Luster things, I run Borreload Savage Dragon. Never made him, never came up. Against Thunder Dragons, Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. This guy came up only once, but it came up against Thunder Dragons because it was a big monster that I could summon to kill him, and it worked. And next up is the side deck. So side deck is 2 Gamma Seal, the Sea Turtle Kaiju. Decided it a lot. It was good. This guy was amazing. The MVP of my side deck, Sphere Mode. Opened this against Crusadia Guardragon, and then drew into this with draw spells. I mean, it was the MVP. It broke the board, and then I was able to just kill him, OTK him outright. It was insane. And the guy set up a strong board. Double Pankratops. Pankratops is okay. I never sided him in. It's honestly, from what I'm seeing, it's not super strong, this format. Could be wrong. Triple copies, Denko Sekka. Denko is really good. But I never got a chance to side it in most of my matchups. Like, it didn't work out. Is what it is. Triple copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. MST was actually fantastic, but I may sub it out for Cosmic Cyclone. They both do about the same thing. It just kind of depends. I would decide. In all seriousness, I might. It's just one of those things I gotta figure out. And then triple copies Red Reboot. Red Reboot, I never sided it in. I never played against any trap heavy decks. It just wasn't good, so I never got to use it. But you could run 2 of everything in this extra deck and run extra stuff if you wanted to. That would give you, what, 3 spots? Well, it would be 4 spots because I'd take out the Pankratops, but it's kind of up to you, to your personal preference. But this is the deck I played at the Indianapolis Regional. It does some crazy stuff. This deck is insane. And I'm really sorry that I've been gone, but I'm working on that grind. I'll be at the Rosemont Regional, so if you're there, come up and say hi and be like, oh, I see you on the channel, you're so nice. I'm not really. I'm just kidding. I'm easy to deal with. But come up and say hi if you're at the Rosemont Regional. I'm letting you know where I'm at. And I don't know what I'll be playing. I haven't decided between this and Salamangreat and Magnet Invoked, so this deck really performed pretty well. Those 3 minor changes, just all 3 of my losses, it happened to me once. I opened them, and it just weren't very good. So, it is what it is. But thank you guys so much for watching and checking out the video. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe. Forgot to say that. I'm bad at this.